Okay, so we're going to say it's about Torah for Tisha B'Av. When you think of Tisha B'Av, what do most people think of? What do you think, Chaim? Very good. Eicha, Kinus, fasting, destruction of the temple. When the Lamdonim, when the learned people, when you say Tisha B'Av, they think of three words. Kamsa, Baal Kamsa. What's Kamsa? What's Baal Kamsa? What's going on? So the Gemara tells us the story that led to the tragedy, which actually was the beginning of the destruction of Jerusalem. There was a man who made a party, and there were two people. There was a man named Kamsa, and there was a man named Bar Kamsa. He was not, to put it lightly, a fan, and he was not friends with Bar Kamsa. Unfortunately, the invitations got messed up, and Bar Kamsa, who was his enemy, was invited, and Kamsa, who was his friend, who was supposed to come, he didn't come, so the one guy came. When the host saw about Kamsa sitting amongst the guests, he said, "Let's see, that man is the enemy of that man. What are you doing here?" He kicked out Bar Kamsa. For all the details, you can learn the story yourself. So the Talmud said, the Gemara tells us that to avenge his public humiliation, Bar Kamsa went to the Roman authorities and slandered the Jews, which ultimately resulted in the tragic destruction of Yerushalayim, of Jerusalem. So the narrative is a illustration of the fact that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed as a result of sinas chinam, of baseless hatred. Everybody says that, throws out that term, baseless hatred. What's baseless hatred? Unless a person has psychiatric problems, why would he hate somebody for no reason? There's always a reason. The better question is, the host says, let's see, that man is the enemy of that man. I don't understand. Why would the host refer to himself in the third person as that man? Why is he saying anything? Altogether. I'm not sure if we're going to answer that today, but if you're going to say something, so say to himself, I don't like that guy. Why is that guy here? Why is he talking about himself and about the other guy in third person? And the better question is, the Gemara tells us that Kamsa, Baal Kamsa, Chavi Yerushalayim. Because of Kamsa and Baal Kamsa, Jerusalem was destroyed. Ruvain, I don't understand. Who is responsible for Jerusalem being destroyed? The host and Baal Kamsa. What did Kamsa do? Kamsa was the friend who was not invited, who stayed home. What do you mean Kamsa or Baal Kamsa caused the destruction of the temple? Kamsa did nothing wrong. If you wanted to know who destroyed it, the host for kicking them out, and Baal Kamsa for going to the Roman government and causing problems. What did Kamsa do? The answer is, watch this. A person usually doesn't harbor feelings for hatred for another person unless he perceives that the other person has either harmed him, did something wrong to him, or possesses something which he thinks he deserves. But sometimes, you know when there's hatred? When a person has the perception that in order to stay friends with someone, he cannot associate with the enemies of that friend. So if Reuben and Shimon don't get along, and you want to be friends with Reuben, you can't be friends with Shimon, because otherwise he would think that that's a betrayal. That's a very, very bad attitude. If Reuben and Shimon have a problem, that's between Reuben and Shimon. Levi's can be friends with Reuben, Levi can be friends with Shimon, and that shouldn't affect his relationship with those fellows. A person with such a perception, he expects that his friends has to feel the same hatred for his enemies as he does. And to have that feeling, that's called sinas chinam. That's baseless hatred. You have nothing with him. You have nothing against him. He did nothing to you. And why do you hate him? Because your friend hates him? And you want to continue your relationship with that friend? That's terrible. That's sinas chinam. As bad as it is to hate somebody for a reason, worse is to hate somebody for no reason, only because your friend hates him, and you want to continue your relationship with that person. The original dispute in the Gemara was between Kamsa and Baal Kamsa, as indicated by the host's reaction. He said, let's see, that man is an enemy of that man. The host is not referring to himself in third person. He's referring to his friend Kamsa. And he felt that in order to continue his friendship with Kamsa, he has to kick Baal Kamsa out. Otherwise, that would be a betrayal to his friendship with Kamsa. And that is such a terrible thing. And that's why it's called that Kamsa Baal Kamsa Chavi Yerushalayim. Because if not for the fact that Kamsa and Baal Kamsa didn't get along, he would let Baal Kamsa stay at the party. You know why he threw out Baal Kamsa? Because he felt that in order to continue his relationship with Kamsa, he would have to kick out Baal Kamsa. It's for this reason that the Talmud says that Jerusalem was destroyed, because of Kamsa and Baal Kamsa. It was their dispute coupled with Kamsa's insistence, or at least the host's insistence, thinking that he insisted that his friends not associated with Baal Kamsa, which precipitated the host Sinas Chinam, and that's why it says Kamsa Baal Kamsa Chava Yerushalayim. A good Shabbos. Have a meaningful Tisha B'Av. Hope you enjoy this Gavaldik pshat in the Gemara.